We can actually see something at Tarzans Treehouse, and holy heck, they're doing something at downtown Disney. Also, things are happening at Pixar Place Hotel. All this, plus a fun new mystery on Main Street, and more, coming up next on Fresh Baked. Hi guys, David here with Fresh Baked with updates for you on construction projects going on around the Disneyland Resort. And we're going to start with, well, it's something. It's something at Tarzans Treehouse. It's been closed for about a year now, and we still have no idea at all as to why it's been closed or what they're doing, apart from taking the tree stump out. But the whole thing has been covered in scrim, except for a couple of days last week, and in that time, we were able to see a little bit of what's happening in that tree. During the day, it's still hard to make out anything specific, even with the scrim down. But at night, you can see a little bit better as the lights give a little contrast to the darkness behind it. And what we can see at night is that hut right there in the middle of the frame. When I first saw this shot, courtesy of Fresh Baked Street teamer Carson, I thought to myself, is that hut new? I don't remember that ever being there before. But then I studied things closer, looked at some old footage, and I realized that yes, it's always been there. It's the room where Jane is drawing Tarzan. It looked weird to me because in the past, it was more covered in branches and leaves, as well as the window dressings in front of the windows. Today, it's all stripped of that, so it's getting ready for some new theme, of course. Don't need those old dressings if it's not Tarzan's Treehouse anymore, which they've already said, well, actually Disney hasn't said. It's been reported that Disney said it's going to be rethemed. It also means that they have reduced some of the foliage around the tree, the branches and the leaves, at least for now. They might possibly replace that stuff eventually. All the fake features of the tree, the limbs and the leaves, they're all individually placed. So if that is something that they're doing, if they're replacing those leaves and those branches, that could take a bit of time. But that's not the important thing. For me, the most important observation is that the hut is still there. After a year, it's still there. So whatever it is that they're doing, it so far hasn't affected the real bones of the attraction. They're still making use of the existing pieces that are in there, at least this one. I mean, that's all we can see, so it's an assumption, of course. But if the hut design is staying, then I would imagine so too should the other parts of the tree. By the way, this does kind of take me back to the original rumored purpose of the tree closing. Something we reported on a long while back that we haven't mentioned in a while, but the rumor was that they were replacing all of the real wood features of the tree. And that still remains likely, and it's probably why the refurb was unannounced, because it was sort of a sudden thing, a health and safety issue. And it's probably why the tree looks about the same as it did before, because they're not replacing things that are part of the show, per se. So stay tuned, I guess. The scrims are back up, but hopefully someday soon we'll know, eventually, someday, what they're up to in there. Let's go to downtown Disney next via the monorail to see that, OMG, they're actually moving dirt again. The Southern California Grading Company has set up shop, and they're making that dirt ready for construction. Oh boy, that's great. The hole, it looks to have been filled, I think. It's kind of behind where that baby Mount Spielberg is right now. And it also looks like they're doing some digging as well. That looks like something trenchy. That's a lot of earth movers, by the way, in that foreground of the frame. And we did see those earth movers at work from this footage, courtesy of Fresh Baked Street teamer JNC. From here, it does look like the hole has been filled and they're leveling everything out. It's pretty cool, right? Soon, they'll dig again to get the foundations ready, which that's going to take a few weeks. Then we'll start seeing the first forms, getting ready for concrete, and then we're going to go vertical. Taking guesses, Fresh Baked, on what's going to appear in this space. Portos? Din Tai Fung? Earl of Sandwich? All of them? Actually, there's still the building to the left, the old ESPN Zone building, which, that needs a tenant. That's pretty much vacant. They do a few things in there, but that's a huge space. So they're definitely going to be putting something in there. Maybe Portos goes there. Bakery on the bottom, cafe on top. That seems to be the way they design the bigger Portos that we see around. So I think that's the leader in the clubhouse at the moment, with Din Tai Fung going in the empty lot, possibly Earl's as well. While we're here, we'll take one last look on the mystery building in the downtown Disney parking lot. It's done. There's no more scrim, no scaffolding, so this is it. Whatever it is that they're doing, they've did it. Still not positive on what this dang thing is, but the best guess, as we mentioned in the past, is that it's a demo version, a show floor version of one of the suites for the new DVC tower at the Disneyland Hotel. On our way into the park, we found this happening at the Mickey Sorcerer Hat at the entrance to the Disneyland Hotel. Concrete has been dug up and there are some forms put in, so I'm guessing they're going to put in some new concrete. Perhaps, a new pattern or style that will be different in that circular section from the regular concrete that will form around it. That's just a guess. We mentioned things were happening at the Paradise Pier Hotel, soon to be the Pixar Place Hotel. That's a truckload of what I assume to be scaffolding that has arrived at the hotel, because they're on a truck from the Safe Scaffolding Company. So look for updates to the hotel facades very soon, like this. They have removed the actual Paradise Pier Hotel sign. So now it's just a white building. Can we even say hotel? I wonder how long it'll be before they put up the Pixar Place Hotel sign. But while we wait, let's get a power washer on that thing, right? I kid, of course, actually, because they won't be needing that. It won't be a problem. As you might have noticed, they have already begun painting. Get a closer look. This blue section here is the new hotel exterior colors. Light blue base with a dark blue trim around the columns and the windows. Let's head into the park and stop first real quick at the Main Street Fire Department and Walts Apartment. For an unknown reason, Disney hasn't mentioned anything. This was all done very quietly. They have replaced Walt's lamp. There was no announcement or no reason given, so they just did it. Now, for a long while, it had been this green glass lamp that kind of resembled a flower in bloom a little bit. It is now what looks to be a pink globe-shaped lamp with what I think is a rose pattern on it. And this, by the way, would be very consistent with Lillian's decorating preferences. You see a lot of that kind of influence in the apartment and on the Lily Bell train car on the Disneyland Railroad. Don't know why it's been replaced. Could be for something as simple as that it broke or otherwise doesn't work, and they had to. The lamp, though, isn't what's important. I want to say this. It's not the lamp that's important, the lamp itself, the physical lamp. In fact, this isn't even the original lamp. So those worrying about that, they shouldn't. It had already been replaced at least once before, as I understand it. What's important is what it means, and it's to honor Walt and his intimate relationship with the park and everybody who took part in it. So that's what the lamp, the idea of the lamp is more important than the actual lamp itself. Let's go next to the site of another seemingly finished project, one with no real sexy solution, unfortunately. This happens all the time. We get let down. But it's kind of what we had expected. The work being done on the Big Thunder Trail tunnels appears to be complete. The scrim is down on this first tunnel, revealing pretty much the same tunnel as before. And here's our final look at the cleared out brush from this section. Crazy what it used to look like before, but it's weird because I think we've already assimilated to this new look, and it's no big deal. I mean, it isn't a big deal, but it's weird when you look at the two things next to each other. They're very striking how different they are. They even recently cut down a sizable tree right there. Look at that. The trunk of the tree, now it's cut up into sections, and it's resting also on the old train track. Wonder how long that'll stay there. The second tunnel has also had the scrim and scaffolding removed. Looks about the same as we've seen in the weeks leading up to this, just newer and fresher looking, perhaps a little further extended out, more of it per se, but otherwise still just a tunnel. And we completely forgot to get a look from the other side, from the actual Big Thunder Trail side, so we'll be sure to do that next week and kind of just put a bow on this thing. Matterhorn next, and we can see that the scaffolding has been removed from the two waterfalls on the Tomorrowland side of the mountain. We have a reopening date of October 14th. The Matterhorn will be open again in about 3 weeks on the 14th. I have not been able to spot any visible changes to the ride's queue or exterior. Looks about as we left it, if you ask me. Most of this is going to be, sort of internal stuff, the actual structure, it would appear. How about a grass update? You guys want a grass update? That was a big story last week. There's actually, or 2 weeks ago, there's actually a lot to report here, like this spot here at the hub. They've taken out the real grass here. Used to look like this for reference, but look for fake grass here soon. This here is still real grass, but right next to it, we got some new fake grass. This is out in front of the Jolly Holiday. So they do this pretty quickly. They can take the old grass, the real grass, out and replace it with fake grass pretty quickly. If you're wondering how the ducks are reacting, because I know that's been a topic of conversation, we came back later to find a few hanging out on this new fake grass. I have no idea, though, if they're like tripping out on this or if they're cool with it. Like, are the ducks living their same life on the fake grass as they were on the real grass? Time will tell. We'll see if there's ducks here in a few months. Now, I mentioned in the intro that we have a new mini mystery. It's more fun than anything serious, but this is the kind of thing that I really, really enjoy. Thankfully, Haston on Twitter also does, and he pointed out that that Disney had marked a few spots on Center Street for future stanchions. Center Street, that's the street between the Disney Clothiers and the Market House on Main Street where they sell the pickles and the flowers. Well, they don't sell the flowers, but the flowers are there. I found this to be very interesting because stanchions are pretty much exclusively for crowd control, to direct guests in a certain direction or to keep them pinned into a certain area, to keep other people out and the right guests in, kind of thing, like for parades. The stanchion placeholders have since been installed, and it makes you wonder, what kind of crowd control are they trying to do on Center Street, of all places? I mean, it's certainly not a place where you send guests. Occasionally, you see the Market House queue overflow out into Center Street, but it's easily managed without stanchions. I'm not even sure if you need tape, but tape would do the trick. I think I have seen tape there. Haston believes they could be using this path, Center Street, to direct guests to the backstage overflow passage. You know, the one used when there's a parade or fireworks show going on. Center Street feeds into a CM-only backstage area that also apparently connects to that overflow path. Logical, but then I can't think of a scenario where this would be necessary. That is, why suddenly redirect guests right in the middle of Main Street? You know, I mean, they're already redirecting them out at Town Square, so it feels like that's, if they're already doing it there, they don't need to do it on Main Street. I don't know, it's weird. Stay tuned on this because we're hoping to, someday solve this little riddle. In the meantime, if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear them because it's kind of interesting, if you ask me. And then finally, before we go, we'll stop in DCA to update you on what's happening at the Hollywood Backlot. There's a box. Okay. Monsters, Inc. has all of its scrim and scaffolding up. The attraction itself, though, has reopened. This means that it's just paint and polish for the facade. Nothing sexy here. But check out these sexy new murals at the Hollywood Lounge. Before, on the left, it was just kind of a plain blue and beige wall. But now we get an actual logo of sorts for the lounge and a little bit of color. And the logo appears on both sides of the lounge, and I kind of like it. It's certainly more character than the plain walls before. They've also replaced the old analog menus with some new digital menus. That's an upgrade as well. Now, one small bit of bad news, I guess, is that this means, again, no immediate plans for the Backlot. Putting even this much money into the Backlot means it's not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. In the same category as the Innovations building and putting whatever money they're doing for that for the DVC Lounge, that's putting off any future plans for a couple of years at least. Same thing for the Hollywood Backlot. And that is it for this week, Fresh Baked. I hope you guys enjoyed some fun little stories here that we get to follow up on here in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. And if you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/FreshBaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked.